and Just Create podcast, powered by CBA Studios in downtown Birmingham, Alabama. Shut up! This is Ayanna Shon with the Shut Up and Just Create podcast. And I have the one and only producer, director, filmmaker, everything under the sun, Miss Iisha Hillmon.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. So what I want to do is
I'm quarantined up.
Quarantined.
I'm happy to be here.
It's funny because I didn't even think anybody in the A was still quarantining. Like all y'all outside.
Have you seen them everywhere? Girl, they're at the belt line. Someone told me they seen some people at a lounge somewhere on Snapchat at a lounge, something, just doing the most. They won't be happy until they catch the COVID or the ro-ro, should I say.
Right. Oh,
bless our people.
I just want to make sure that the people are very, very, very familiar. I know you have the film background, even starting out over there in Full Sail. Where you
did
your filmmaking. So let's shed a little bit of a light of how you stepped into the roles and hats that you've seemed to wear over the years.
Okay, so to go back years, we're gonna go way back, should I say. My aunt, she was actually stationed at the Pentagon in DC. Okay. I was around 12 years old, so it was my sister. She was about 4 years old at the time I was 12. My cousin, she's about 2 years younger than me. And my aunt, she was a photographer, so she used to have to cover press conferences, and she was a part of the production team, at the Pentagon. And so she would bring home recorders and camcorders, so we would actually leave the cameras on all day recording ourselves. So we had reality TV shows before it was reality TV, wrapping in the camera all day while she was at work. So that's like 8 hours of footage, right? So from there, transition, years went on. My mother introduced me to this guy. He was working at Dairy Queen, and she told me about this guy. So I started dating him. We were freshmen in high school, and he already knew that I wanted to work in entertainment. I wanted to be a director at a time. Mm-hmm. And so he found this school, and he found Full Sail. So when I was in ninth grade, I already knew I was going to Full Sail. Mm-hmm. Bumped the SAT. We didn't need it. Okay. I took it, yes. But I didn't take it as seriously as I should have, because I already knew where I was going, okay? And from there, I just fell in love with I love different music video directors. I loved Nzinga Stewart. That was like one of my top favorites. Melina, I love her, Matukas. And it just went on from there. I went to Full Sail. I got an internship with this magazine called Ozone Magazine. Mm-hmm. I used to intern all the time while I was in school, and I went down to Miami quite often, and I knew someone who knew the editor-in-chief of the magazine at the time, Julia Beverly. Mm-hmm. And he got me on the phone with her, and I told her, I said, I could blow your magazine up in Atlanta. You won't need nobody but me, right? She was like, okay, I'm trusting you. I'm going to give you the job. I hung up. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I was talking trash, okay? I'm going to blow your magazine up, girl. Bet on the kid. So from there, I moved back to Atlanta after I graduated, and I just started doing photography work for the magazine. And then from there, I had to cover a lot of music video sets. For a lot of different artists, and I started working PAing on music video sets from there. And then it just grew. Someone trusted me to be the assistant, trusted me to be a coordinator. Then someone trusted me to be their assistant director. And then I became the assistant to Randy Marshall. He was one of the Fat Cats. So I learned so much from him as well at that time. And it just grew from there. I met my business partner. Then he and I started producing and directing music videos on our own. It was a lot of times where I just wanted to make sure that it was our company that was getting the budgets, because everything was a bid. And then you're also, there's a bidding war between you and other production companies that are signed to record labels. So it's just hard. It was just really hard being independent. But the music video budgets at that time were lovely. But, you know, record labels started taking money out of the budgets for marketing. So that's kind of how the transition went. And that's how we kind of went on from doing the music videos into independently producing our own movies. And then one of my great friends, we actually grew up together. He told me about a position over at Tyler Perry Studios. And I've been over there for roughly about 3.5 years now. And it's just been really incredible. And I can't even speak to you unless you know how I'm just grateful to be somewhere where I know that God has grace on the life of the executive producer, writer, creator, Mr. P, Tyler Perry. I call him Mr. P, but just being part of that grace and that favor, and it gives you so much motivation when you walk through those doors, and just being able to work with us as a people, because a lot of times when I was working on set contracting, I would be the only brown girl. Sometimes I might be the only brown person. So when I'm working over there, it just feels so good. I feel like I'm at home. I can just relate on, you know, a magnitude of level with the different creators that I work with. And it really feels so good that we're just creating magic.
Man, that's
yeah.
that is such a blessing. Anybody that knows me know I am a TP Studio fangirl. I fight all trolls, everything. He's definitely been somebody that I've studied.
I understand why. This is hibiscus tea. This is hibiscus tea, y'all. Mind y'all's business.
I am not bad at tea whatsoever. So tell us, what do you consider yourself specializing in at this stage and point in the career that you're in?
Producing. I love producing. I used to want to direct. I can direct. I have done it before also, but I really like producing because I like having my hands in multiple pots. I like multitasking. I like the business aspect, and I also love uniting creatives. I just love calling different people. I love finding dope writers. I love finding dope directors. Just putting the pieces to the puzzle together. That's what I truly, truly love.
So let's do this because I always want to make sure that with this particular podcast, am I breaking up on your end? So the whole Shut Up and Just Create podcast is to inspire, aspire, and educate the film community by those that are actually walking in that journey that has some grit in the game, that can kind of be a guide, so to speak, and kind of give the insight. And for those that may not necessarily know what the difference, or if there's a difference between producing on a certain level versus producing in a more independent beginning stage. So let's break down what producing is and what it looks like this far in the career that you're doing.
I still have a few more levels that I would like to go, but I can't share as far as different levels that I've been on. More so when it's on an independent level, you're doing whatever it takes to get the project done. So you might wear hats that you don't have to wear when you have that luxury of being with a well-known production house, right? So if I'm a producer over at Tyler Perry Studios, there's certain things that I don't have to worry about because I have my UPM to deal with more contracts with the crew and certain things of that nature, and budget, making sure my crew stays within budget. The producer on a higher scale, I would say on a well-known production company or production house or a studio, more so deals with talent. As far as their contracts, negotiating with them, having input also in the script as well. What they think would be good, different ideas that they might have for the cast. Sometimes it's you getting money. It just depends on what level you are. Sometimes that the level producer or EP, it might just get tossed around for credit because we'll say, okay, I can get Denzel in your movie. And I might say, oh, you can? Well, I'm willing to give you EP credit because I know that you can make that happen. And I know that that is a big win for me for my project, as far as distribution goes. But on an independent level, for me, what I'm doing now, I'm actually in pre-production and development with this show. Is called The Good Life. I can't wait for y'all to see it. It's amazing. I'm so grateful for it. I hired my writer, so he and I talk almost every day. I get on his nerves sometimes. I am creating the pitch deck, getting certain names attached, finding different hosts, contacting agents to see who wants to be a part of it. Also working backwards. So trying to figure out now, where can this project live, opposed to going out here and shooting it. I need to know what cameras Netflix is accepting. You can't just go out here and shoot. Even though you might be very talented, you might be an excellent cinematographer, but you have to know there's just certain technical aspects that you have and ratios that you have to abide by when you're presenting your project to these streaming networks, streaming platforms. So just knowing where your project lives in the beginning, because my partner he's still my business partner. I have like several business partners, but Henderson Maddox, we work a lot. And I was talking to him, and we filmed this movie, had Robin Givens in it, Greg Allen Williams, Asiana Alexis. We made it, right? We've made it. But we just move in chronological order. And sometimes that's just not the best way to go when you're dealing with production. You need to know where your project can go, who could be attached, who is open to having these certain actors attached, who's open to having these different types of projects on their platform. So this was in the Stone Age when we were dealing with DVDs, people and kids, okay? They asked me at the end, they said, is there a dog in the movie? I'm like, a dog? Because that could possibly help us when we want to go and create the movie poster and for the marketing for when our DVD is on the shelf at Walmart. A kid might see the dog and be like, Mommy, I want that, because the dog's on the cover. So just small little jewels like that, like you don't know until you go through it. A couple $100,000 later, but but we got through it. So now it's more so just moving backwards, and where I am is actually enjoying just networking, utilizing more so my attorneys, that can speak for me. I want to more so create, but I'm very stern in what I want as far as just, certain creative control and certain things. So I'm kind of excited about that, just being able to even have these conversations with different platforms about, certain things that I have in the pipeline.
Nice. Now, I want to
hope that answer your question, not to make a long answer longer.
No. No. I do want to rewind a bit, just because you dropped the acronym, and I want to make sure that those that may not necessarily know what the acronym is, they're able to understand it. But when you were speaking about producing on a different level, you said over at TP Studio, you may not necessarily have to do certain things because you have a UPN.
Yes, both. So TPS is Tyler Perry Studios. When I say that, I'm just used to saying TPS all the time. And UPM is a unit production manager.
Okay. And tell us, so when you wear the producing hat, because I know you said that that's what you really want, tell us I know you said that you like to be able to multitask and that you're currently working on The Good Life. Is that particular project,
Yes, The Good Life. I love it. I love that project so much. It's going to help a lot of people. It's going to be amazing.
So with The Good Life, are you producing that particular project, or are you wearing another hat on that?
Excuse me, I'm actually EPing that project. I'm executive producing. So I'm trusting a lot of other dope producers. I have 2 other producers that are working on a project alongside myself, and one of my business partners, she's actually EPing the project as well with me. Because it's very important. Sometimes you only get that one shot to make a certain impact. Mm-hmm. And when you do have a certain level of funding, you just want to do the best that you can. And I didn't want to wear a bunch of different hats to where I just couldn't fully just emerge in the project and just try to make it as good as possible, instead of just being egotistical and I got to be the director, I want to be the producer, I want to be the writer. Am I getting, it just wasn't necessary for me. Gotcha. To do that. Not to say that there's anything wrong with it, because it happens every day. But I just wanted to make sure that I was just allowing great creators to do what they do.
So since you're doing executive or EP on this particular project, let them know what exactly that entails as far as being an executive producer.
The money. No, but I'm terrible. Okay, don't give it to me. Don't alley-oop that thing.
I just want to make sure that they know, because sometimes people don't realize
and
what
like
they
I said,
and you're very missing tool on your next project could be the simple fact that you're wearing all these hats and you don't have an EP. You get what I'm saying? So that's the reason why I wanted to make sure.
That and then with the EP, sometimes, a lot of times, my business partner and I, when we were doing music videos, executive producing them and directing them, we was doing it for like 6 years straight, for Lil Wayne, Joel Santana, Bow Wow, just name it. And a lot of times we would cut ourselves out the budget, you know what I'm saying? Just certain things to make sure things worked. Mm-hmm. I was working a job at the time, like for 2 of those years, just to make it work. I'm sneaking in the back. I was a manager at this store at the time. At this clothing store at the time, and I'm sneaking in the back having phone conversations like, where are the models at? You know, video business at the time. So, but to answer your question, I got sidetracked. I apologize. I don't get hung up too much on the titles, which there are titles, just like you have CEOs, you know. I get hung up on making it work. I say that I'm an EP because if the project goes not as expected, it will be on me.
I gotcha.
I'm out of money.
Hey, but when that project goes as expected,
right. I make some and I share with, you know, the other people who definitely. I couldn't do it without them. There's no way you can do this stuff on your own. When you're in film and video production, there's no way you can do it on your own. There's no way. That's why I love it so much, because I have to work with other people. There's no way that I can do it by myself. But it's more so for me, it's more so the money or the resources. Mm-hmm. I'm able to, as an EP, I'm able to get the money. I'm able to get my my influencer as a interviewee. So it could be, you know, a celebrity or anyone else who's an influencer. I'm able to bring all the components in. I hired my director, I hired my producers, I hired my writers. They're coming from me because I wanted them to produce it. So my producer will come in and say, hey, I think I got the right DP on this. Okay. If I don't have a UPM, I don't even know if I'm gonna have a UPM. But everybody's just doing what they're doing, pretty much. But it's the same. It's pretty much the same thing. Like, I know I'm taking care of, my producer is going to take care of the interviewee for me. They're going to make sure that my influencer that's on the show and the host are taken care of. You know, they're going to make sure that certain elements are there. They're making sure that they get their flight information. You know, again, we're not a huge studio. Huge studio has a traveling coordinator and a traveling assistant. Okay.
Don't sound too shy from it. I'm starting to hear a lot of things that kind of line up with the yeah.
Let me sip my tea, girl. Let me sip my tea. I receive it in the name.
So in this project, or with any project that you more so have either an executive producer or a producer credit with or role with, do you normally, because I know you're out of Atlanta and there's a lot of talent that is out there. Do you normally only seek that pool that is in Atlanta, or do you normally cast
as far as the crew is concerned?
As far as the crew and talent, or is it more so you'll pull talent?
The talent really doesn't matter. Most of the time when we're dealing with when my partner and I, when we're dealing with features or anything like that, or we're doing shorts and we just want to attach people, we just come up with different ideas on who we might want to play that role. We just we sent out an offer to Loretta Devine. This was, oh my God, this was in December. I say everything was the other day. The other day is like it could have been a year ago. I'm like, because the other day, it was in December. Okay, let's get right.
That's the T.
It and but pretty much whoever we feel like will do the role. We'll have to do the math and, figure out what would be, it's worth us spending a certain amount to have Loretta in it, opposed to, and these are EP and producer conversations.
Right.
And, it makes more sense to have her in it, opposed to, do we want a star as the mom, or do we want just a face to come in and play her cousin or something?
Gotcha.
I can't think of the name of the role, but everybody knows what I'm trying to say. I swear this is tea, y'all. I swear.
Oh man. So what's your next move with Good Life?
The next work with Good Life is getting the interviewee solidified.
Okay.
We're going to shoot a pilot.
Nice.
And then after we shoot the pilot, to make sure all the logistics are there, technology, it's a lot of different moving parts, to make sure that the crew and everyone else has, we're in the flow with each other, and then we'll go and shoot the other 5 episodes. So it's the episodic.
How many
so it's
episodes total?
It's a docu-series 6.
Okay. And I know you stated that you guys are in the interviewing process. So give us a little bit more information on what exactly that means. Does that mean that you're just
we're actually in the development process, which is somewhat pre-production a little bit. Development is just trying to get all the pieces together and then make sure that the budget is finalized, which the budget is finalized. We're just making sure that we have the right crew members and the right producers and the right interviewees attached to the project.
Now, if you hired me on that thing, I'm gonna make it blow. Well, hold on, what was it that you told old girl from Ozone?
Girl,
what was it you told her? I'm gonna blow you.
Girl, I didn't even know. Now, let me put this in my notes. That's amazing. So we're in the development stage of the Good Life. So we're just reaching out to different interviewees who are in alignment with the message that we're trying to bring forth into the project. So it's just moving with, as far as my career is concerned, I'm just going to be honest and candid and just transparent here for a minute. I've worked on a lot of projects that I just wasn't as proud of.
Okay.
To attach myself to. And this was years prior in my career, just because it was very egotistical on how I was moving. Just with me, I'm going to be the first or the youngest, or one of the youngest Black female directors in the game, which means it was more so on the accolade type of thing. I always had a passion for it. I love telling stories. My whole family is very artistic. My mama is insane. Just her eye and her vision. So I knew that I had a gift. I just was using it not 100% in the way that I was proud of. So probably around maybe like 7 years ago, I just tried to be very mindful of projects that I attach myself to, just making sure that things are in alignment with what I'm doing. I could have been, I get calls to work on different shows. I'm not going to say the name of the shows because however you do it, get your money, boo-boo. But for me, to be in alignment with who I am and just me working on who I am and what I want to leave behind in my legacy, I just want to be 110% proud of what I produce. So I don't jump at any and everything that comes my way.
Gotcha. So what's been your motivation throughout this journey from the beginning to now? Because it's not easy staying a course.
Like I said, and you know what, to be honest with you, my motivations change. They change with different stages of my life and different stages of me first as an African-American woman, and me as a human being. They change. Certain things that were important to me, like the example that I just gave about being just so egotistical, that was my motivation, wanting to be the first or one of the first to be in the game producing or directing music videos or what have you, knowing that I always wanted it, but I wasn't mature enough to actually sit down and say, what is this truly for? So I really didn't even start tapping into that, like I said, until like roughly like 8 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is this really about? And the true motivation now, not to be cliche, is really just the inspiration. And it's the inspiration as far as the crew and the behind the scenes. People have aspirations for that to work behind the scenes as crew members. Is like I said, I worked on so many different projects, from NBC, TLC, BET, MTV, pilots that MTV orders out the wazoo with these production companies, having them spend their hard-earned money on projects and they don't even pick it up. That has happened on countless times that I have worked on. And like I said, 85% of the time, I'm the only brown person. Right. And 99% of the time, I'm the only brown girl. Gotcha. So, and like I said, it changed when I got over to TPS, Tyler Perry Studios. That changed for me, but it's more so to just hone in on that motivational piece and the inspirational piece, just to show that I'm a chick from Clayton County, Georgia. Okay. College Park originally, you know, parents get a little dough, they move a little bit out, you know what I'm saying? Move to Clayton, move to Morrow, Lake City, then you get a little bit more, then you move to Henry County. But starting off on Dobby Road, try to situation. And it was all just a dream for me. You know, I was blessed to grow up around certain people who were in the entertainment industry. So I was able just to see certain things and seeing how the inside of the business worked. But just to give someone who's like me, who really probably just never even thought that they could be doing this, or don't think that they can, it kind of just seems so far-fetched. For me, it seemed far-fetched, but I always just been a very optimistic person, even as a young girl, because my mama was always like that. Like, you can do whatever. And my mama told me, like, when I was 8, I know you're different. You are different, but if you stand in that, you'll be cool. You know what I'm saying? Opposed to trying to change me and make me feel effed up in the head. I don't know if you can curse. I gotcha. You know, for me just being myself, and I could always stand in that. So it's more so just motivation. Like, you could be you and be just dope you. You know, I'm on panels a lot of times with like middle-aged, sometimes baby boomer white men. And I'm up on that panel with my hair wrapped and my holy jeans. Like, hey, what's going on, John? How are you doing today? With my little country self. And they love it because you can't beat being authentic. You know, I can't act like I'm something that I'm not, and I'm not trying to be, you know. So just more so bringing inspiration to that. That's more so the motivation now, just letting people know that, you know, the young brown girls and boys, like, you know, y'all can do this. It's nothing. The only thing that's going to stop you is if you stop.
Shut up! Hey, this is Ayanna Shon with the Shut Up and Just Create Shut Up and Just Create podcast, powered by